So what is the destruction caused by cyclones? As we saw, cyclone is nothing but a low pressure. So there is a low pressure high somewhere and there's a high pressure on the land. So everything gets risen high in the air. Air starts moving at very high speed. The same thing happens even on the oceans or sea. So maybe as the storm આપણી પાસે આવતું હોય એ પહેલા what will happen is because of the very strong winds, the waves or the current on the sea and ocean are very high. આપણે કોઈ especially જ્યારે cyclone કે વાવાઝોડું આવતા હોય ત્યારે government says that do not visit a nearby coast. આપણે કોઈ દરિયા કિનારે ના જવું જોઈએ. They ask the fishermen that ભાઈ તમે હમણાં તમારું fishing ની activities stop કરી દો because there is a cyclone coming. So how do they know? Because they know because of the waves that are coming in the sea. So you can say that these high tide winds are the first indicator of cyclones. What follows next is again a very low pressure creates a very high amount of waves. જે પાણી છે નીચેનું high pressure પર again that is getting risen because of the low pressure. And if you might be seeing in some news channels or discovery channels, आपने खबर हशे कि अगर त्याરના કોઈ photos જોઈએ તો the waves are almost 3 to 12 meters high. The height of a human being is merely 1.8 meters. 6 ફૂટનો માણસની height બી 1.6 meters હોય, 1.8 meters હોય છે. The waves are almost 3 to 5 meters. આપણાથી 5-6 times ઊંચા હોય, and we cannot survive those waves. So during the case of cyclones, if a cyclone hits a particular area, there is a lot of damage. Again, દરિયાનું પાણી જ્યારે બી low lying regions હોય, જેમ કે આપણે કહીએ છીએ નીચાણવાળા ભાગ હોય આપણા, every city has certain places which is lower as compared to the other parts of city, or which we can say which is very level to the sea level. એની જે height છે it is almost similar to a sea level. એટલે પાણી ત્યાં સુધી easily આવી જાય, લોકોના ઘરમાં પાણી આવી જાય. There are a lot of bacteria, lot of germs. This spreads a lot of diseases. There are certain insects like snakes, reptiles like crocodiles. They also come along with this sea water, or because of cyclones. કોઈ નદીમાંથી, કોઈ lakes, ponds માંથી, બધેથી પાણી આવવા માંડશે. So this causes unimaginable damage. આમાં એનું એટલું high damage હોય છે that it requires a lot of time to repair it. Again, not only that, when there is excessive amount of rainfall because of the cyclone, it also affects our crop. Our crop needs water, but it does not need excess of water. એને જેટલું પાણી જોઈતું હોય એટલું જ એક crop સહન કરી શકે. If we have more water, આપણે નાનકડા કોઈ plants હોય એના પર 10-15 ડોલ પાણી રેડી દઈએ તો it dies. એને એટલો બધો પાણીની જરૂર નથી. It cannot take that much amount of water. So these are some of the destructible things which come along with the cyclone. Now we have few important keywords here coming up from the cyclone. Some part of the world they call cyclone as hurricane. Some part of the they call it typhoon. Especially the American continent, as the American continent, the North America and the South America, there the cyclone is called known as hurricane. In the Japanese section, this is a Japanese portion. So here in this region, they call the term typhoon for cyclone. We have another term called tornado. So what happens in tornado is we have image for a tornado here. So we have a funnel-like structure of the clouds. As you can see that from the top it is very, very broad, ekdam broad, but coming towards the earth, it gets thinner. So this kind of structure is called a tornado, which is not usually available in India. In India, apna Bharatma, we normally do not see such tornadoes. We have cyclones, but we usually do not get tornadoes. But tornadoes are quite common in the North American continent, and hence we might have seen in some Hollywood movies, you might have seen that there are tornadoes. Such types of scenes are available in Hollywood movies because it is very much common there. So they again usually are very calm. Tornadoes ekdam light hoy chhe, But if there is a violent tornado, it can have a speed of around 300 kilometers per hour. So the entire coastal line of India is vulnerable to cyclones. Um, the east coast, again the east coast. So let me open a map of India. So this is our eastern coast, and that is a cyclone prone region. Again, is an accident prone region. So the eastern coast of India is a cyclone prone region because of there are a lot of low pressure created in the on the Bay of Bengal as compared to the land. So that's about the cyclones, tornadoes, and as we know, the damage is unimaginable. And એટલું બધું damage થાય. But can there be some ways to prevent this? We can have some ways which will reduce the amount of restriction. So let us discuss these safety measures. The safety measure would be we should have a cyclone forecast and warning service. What does this mean? કે અત્યારે તો એટલી ટેકનોલોજી છે આપણી જોડે that we can forecast that when a cyclone can be coming. And one of the reasons we discussed કે જ્યારે cyclone form થાય છે, there are strong winds around the eye of the cyclone. So this eye of the cyclone is maybe a kilometer or maybe a few meters away. So we can see that suddenly the sea has very high tides. આપણી જે દરિયા હોય એમાં ભરતી suddenly વધી જાય છે. So if you see certain types of changes, we can see that maybe a cyclone is coming this way, and such principles are used to forecast a cyclone. So if we have a cyclone forecast service, it would ultimately help. It could give us time of maybe 48 hours, at least બે દિવસ જેવો time આપો. So the people lying on the coastal region, they can move themselves from such dangerous places to somewhere else temporarily, and once the cyclone is gone, they can again go back to their place. So if we have a cyclone forecast, it could be a safety measure. Another thing would be a communication of the warning message. As you might have seen that our government has certain amber alert, red alert, orange alert. So based on the color of the alert, it shows the intensity of the cyclone. If it is a red alert, people are asked to move immediately. તમારી પાસે ટાઈમ નથી, it's a red alert, એકદમ dangerous cyclone આવે છે. So just take your important belongings and go away. Save your lives. If it is an amber alert, kind of yellowish alert, so it is a dangerous alert, but not as dangerous as compared to the red alert. So similarly, the government can issue different types of warnings. And another point would be we can create cyclone shelters. Cyclone shelters are created usually underground. So there can be no air, there can be no roof. So the chances are very less that the underground portions of the earth would be damaged because of the cyclones. So these are certain steps that can be taken to prevent the cyclones. But again, after we get the cyclones, what should be the people's actions to save themselves? So we have certain actions which are part of people. Clearly, we should never ignore the warnings issued by the meteorological department. જે બી આપણો ગવર્મેન્ટ કે ભાઈ there is an amber alert, so ત્યારે આપણે કોઈ બહાદુર બનાય નહીં. If they are saying there is an amber alert or red alert, we should stay inside home. अगर we have a concrete home, આપણે એકદમ ઘરમાં રહેવું જોઈએ. We should not travel outside because there can be strong winds and we might run into some accidents. So again, that's the same thing. If we are staying on a region which is near to the sea, and if there is a warning issued by the government, we should immediately make some secondary staying arrangements and save our lives. We have another such guidelines where if we are staying in a cyclone hit area, always store a drinking water. જે contaminated water થઈ ગયું હોય, we should not drink because as we discussed, there can be certain bacteria, microorganisms, germs which may create some certain diseases. Do not touch wet switches because during the time of cyclone, the air is highly ionized, and the ionized air is a good conductor of electricity. So there are chances that you will get shock if you try to touch wet switches. Again, do not ask some undue demands for the rescue force. જે લોકો આપણને બચાવવા આવે, the special task. તો એમને આપણે એવું ના કહીએ કે ભાઈ મને લઈ જાઓ, મારા પેરેન્ટ્સ જોડે લઈ જાઓ. ડોન્ટ મેક એની સચ અનડિમાન્ડ્સ. જસ્ટ કોઓપરેટ વિથ ધ ગવર્મેન્ટ. હેલ્પ યોર નેબર્સ એન્ડ ફ્રેન્ડ્સ. એન્ડ ખાલી કોઈક લોકો હોય ને કે ભાઈ આપણે મજા માટે ફરવા માટે બહાર જઈએ, જોઈએ કેવું વાવાઝોડું આવે છે, એવું કોઈ ડરિંગ ના બતાવે. Do not just go outside for fun. So if you keep in mind these precautions, you will ultimately be able to save your lives and your friends' lives. And as we discussed, with the latest technology, we can now predict the cyclones because of the satellites. પહેલા તો આપણી જોડે satellites નહોતા, so the only option we had was we had to trust the sea waves. We keep a special meter that reads the waves of the sea. But now we have satellites. Satellites can see the top view of the earth, and they can know that from where there is a low pressure, where there is high pressure. So scientists can predict that now the cyclone would be coming this way. Hence we know that in the news channel we always get a news forecast, and there sometimes in case of cyclones they would announce that maybe in the coming 28 or 48 hours there will be a cyclone coming in your way. So because of the latest advance in technology, we can get informed about the upcoming cyclones. So that is all about the 8th chapter, winds, storms and cyclones. We have learned a lot of things in this chapter. Let's try to see some of the keywords that we have gone so far. The first keyword is anemometer. What is anemometer? Anemometer is an instrument used to measure the speed of a wind. And let me show you how does it look. So this is what an anemometer looks like. I'm sure you might have seen this type of instrument somewhere in your life. Either apne lively tame joya છે if you visit a lighthouse or some place where there are high speed winds, or maybe in certain movies. So this is nothing but an instrument which is used to measure the speed of wind. Next we have cyclone. We discussed how cyclones is arise, what are the damages that a cyclone causes. So again, cyclone in a short is nothing but the change in pressure. There is a low pressure system created, hence the air moves up in the sky. Any ajubajuni hawa takes the place of the hot air, and the cycle keeps on moving, hence we have cycle on. So that is cyclone. And again, based on different regions in the world, they say the same cyclone at different names. Some say it hurricane, some say typhoon. In the North American continent, they usually say hurricane. Japanese side, they prefer the word typhoon. Both are the same thing. Lightning, during the case of thunderstorms, we have lightnings. What is lightning? Jakashma, because of some negative and positive clouds, we have the exchange of electrons from one cloud to another. This is nothing but lightning. We do not have the scientific reason of lightning in this chapter, but just for your knowledge, there are certain clouds which are negatively charged and certain clouds which are positively charged. So positive and negative attract each other, and when they meet, there is a lightning. What is a low pressure? When a heat is provided to the air expands, and when the air expands, there is a low pressure. What is monsoon winds? The air coming from the sea towards land is usually the monsoon winds, because these winds bring the rain. Pressure, we know what is pressure. When we apply some force on a surface, that is called a pressure. Thunderstorms are nothing but the lightnings and sounds that we see during monsoon. Tornado is a special type of cyclone. It is a funnel-like structure. On the top, it extends from the sky towards the land. Sky thi land sudhima extend થાય છે. On the top, it has a funnel-like structure, very broad, and on the bottom side, it has a very narrow structure. It does not happen usually in India, but it happens in North American continent. And we discussed the wind flow pattern. Wind always flows from high pressure to low pressure. So that is all we discussed in this chapter. I hope the chapter is clear, and just try to recollect all the things that we have discussed in this chapter. So till next time, take care. Goodbye.